Hi, welcome to our lesson on expanding double brackets. Now, this is suitable for those students who are doing GCSE foundation, but also those students who are also doing GCSE higher in maths, and also students who are doing IGCSE in maths. Right? So there's that overlap with this topic. You will be given a question like these two that are in front of you here. Two brackets that are next to each other with nothing in between them, and you're told to expand them. On the higher end, you could also be given something like this, and they want you to expand and simplify. Okay, so I'm going to show you very quickly how to do this. Now, when you have two brackets next to each other like this with nothing in between, it means you are just timesing this bracket with that. Okay. Now, so I'm going to show you a method that will work here. Number one, let's pretend I've got 7 and I'm timesing by 5. Okay. Now, obviously, this is going to be 35. But I can write this 7 this way. I can put 7 there in bracket, and I can put 5 in bracket. It basically means that I'm just timesing them. Okay. Another thing I can do, this 7, I can write it as something else. I can write it as 3 plus 4 plus 3, for example. And this 5, I can write as, 2 plus 3, for example. Okay. Now it means that if I times these brackets together, I should simplify and get my answer. Because 4 plus 3 is 7, and then 2 plus 3 is 5. If you times them together, I should get what? The answer. Right, so I'm going to use this to just show you a method that you can use to do this. The first thing you need to do is to start with this number in front and times this bracket with it. So you take 4 and you times the 2 and the 3 with it. Get the answer. Then once you've done that, then you take the 3. So once you do the 4, then you do the 3. Okay, so I'm just going to do the 3 separately. So the 3 is going to be 3 times by 2 plus 3. Okay, so you do the 4 times by this bracket, which is here. Then you do the 3 times by the very same bracket. Then you add up your answers. Okay, so let's start. You do 4 times 2 here, which is going to be 8. Then you do 4 times 3 here, which is going to be what? 12. And of course, there's plus in between them. So from this one here, I basically got 4 times 5 if you want, which is basically just 20. 2 plus 3 is just 5, and 5 times by 4 is 20. Now notice that the 8 and the 12 I'm getting from there is giving me the same thing, so that's 20 as well. Okay, so the first answer I'm having is 20. Now doing this, I've got 3 times by 2, which is 6, and 3 times by 3, which is basically 9, and I've got to add them. Adding them together, you're going to find that the answer there is going to be 15. Okay, so I've got 20 on this side, and I've got 15 on this side. To find what the answer is, you're going to need to add them. So it's going to be 20, add 15, which is basically going to be 35. So that's the answer to that. Okay. So I hope you get that. So what I'm trying to show you here is basically a method of how to do this. So we're going to apply the same approach to doing this kind of questions here that they're going to ask you to do in exam. Okay. So we're going to do the first one, and then we're going to do the second one. Then you're going to try a couple of questions. If you've done this before, what you might want to do is just to pause the video, and then just basically try this. Okay. Okay. Okay, so just gonna do that. Okay. Right, okay, so I'm just gonna pause the video for you then. If you just want to try the questions first, A and B. So pause the video and try it first before I share it to do it. Somewhere. Can you check this together? Check together. Okay, hope you managed it. Now let's go over that. So the first thing you need to do here, like I said, you're going to take this Q here, which is the first thing, times the P at 3 with that Q. So you're going to have Q, and then you're going to times p plus 3 that q, and you're going to get the answer. Write it down. Then once you've done the q, then you do the 4. So you can always have another one. So it's 4 there times by p plus 3. Get your answers, then add them. So let's start. So q times by p is qp or pq. Okay. And then q times by 3 is basically going to be 3q. Okay. So that's done. Then with this one here, I've got 4 times by p, which is going to be 4p. And I've got 4 times by 3, which is going to be 12. Okay. Now, once you've done that, then you just basically put your answers together. So I've got PQ, add 3Q, then add 4P, then basically add 12. Okay. So that's all I have at the moment. There is nothing I can do to simplify this because all these terms are different. These are PQs, these are Qs, these are Ps, and those are just numbers. So there's nothing I can do with it. So that's just the end of this. Okay. Right. So let's try to do the second part. Let's try to do the second part. Okay, now with the second part, you will need to think about what we call bitmas. So I've got 3x minus 2 squared. Now the first thing you need to do with this one, the first thing you need to do is to basically do the indices first. So I'm going to do x minus 2 squaring it. Now when you do x minus 2 squaring, it basically means that you're timesing x minus 2 by x minus 2. That's what this squaring is. Now once you've done that, then you can just times by 3 after. So you can just put this 3 in front, and I can deal with it later. Okay. So the first thing you're going to need to do is to expand these two brackets. And we can now use a shortcut. You do x times x, which is basically x squared. Then you do x times 2, which is not 2x, but it's going to be negative 2x because this one is negative. Okay. Now when done x, now you're going to do this 2 here, but this 2 is not 2, it's actually negative. So you're going to do negative 2 times by x, which is negative 2x. Then we're going to do negative 2 times by negative 2, which is going to be positive 4. Okay. Remember, this is negative and that's negative as well. So when you expand the bracket, you times them as negatives. Now simplify that, we got x squared. Now this minus 2x. In the number line, that becomes negative 4x. Okay. So you got negative 2 minus 2. In the number line, that gives you minus 4. Now then we add the 4 at the end. Right, so these are the x's. They are simplified to become the minus 4x. The x squared is that, and the 4 is that. Now, once you've done that, then you can put brackets and then start timesing them by 3 because we were supposed to have done that. Okay. So we're gonna do it at this stage now. We're gonna times by 3 after. Okay. So now let's start. Okay. Right. So here I've got 3 times by x squared is 3x squared. Then I've got 3 times by 4x is minus 12x. Then I've got 3 times by 4 is 12. Okay. So 3 times by that is this. 3 times by that is minus 12x. 3 times by 4 is basically 12. So that is my answer. The x's, the x squared, the numbers are different stuff. So we can't add them to make one thing. Okay. Right, I want you to pause the video quickly and try question 1 and question 2. So pause the video and try question 1 and question 2. Okay, hope you've done that. So what I'm going to do question H for you, and then I'm just going to show you the answers, how to go about this. So question H, 2H is 7, A minus 7, close bracket, B minus 8, and then close bracket. Okay. So, right, so the first thing you need to do, ignore the 7, do A times by, so do A times by B, which is AB. Then you do A times by 8, which is 8a, but remember there is minus. Okay, so there's that minus there. Now we've done A, now we're going to do this 7 here, but this is negative. So 7 times B is 7b, but because it's negative there, that's going to be minus. Remember, negative times positive becomes negative. Then I'm going to do 7 times 8, which is 56, but this is negative and that is negative. Remember, negative times negative becomes positive. Okay, then what I need to do now is to try and simplify, but here there's nothing I can simplify because they're different terms. Now, the only thing I can do now is to times by 7. Okay, so I open the bracket, then times by 7. 7 times 7 times AB becomes 7AB. 7 times 8 there becomes 56, and you put A in front, and you put minus in front. And then 7 times 7 is going to be 49, and there is B, and you put minus in front. And then you're going to do 7 times by 56. So that's something you can do using the column method if it's an calculator paper. So 7 times 6 is 42. You carry 4. So 7 times 5 is 35, and that becomes 39 if you add the 4. Okay. So that then becomes plus 392. So that is the end to that. Okay. Right. So you want to show pause the video and try and basically just mark your answers. Okay. Just realized that I forgot to put the answers for part 2. So sorry about that. Just might have to mark part 1 there. Okay, so mark part 1. Hope you've done well on that. For your GCSE or IGCSE, they tend to bring part 1. They rarely bring this one. So this is the main one that you need to know how to do. Okay. Right. If you're gonna pause the video again and try question 3 and 4, pause the video, try question 3 and 4. Remember, squaring a number means timesing it by itself. Okay. So if I just expand this one for you, that's gonna be x minus 6, and then times by x minus 6, and then you're going to times after. Okay, so that's what it means. So just do the very same thing we've been doing on this one, on all of them. So pause the video and try this quickly. Okay, well done. So hope you tried that. So I'm going to just do question H for you. Again, you start by doing x times x, which is x squared. And then x times 6 is 6x, but there is minus because positive x times negative 6 is minus 6x. Then you're going to do 6 times x, which is 7x. Which is 6x, but there's minus because it's negative 6 times x, which is negative. Then you're going to do negative 6 times by negative 6, which is positive 36. Okay. Then you remember you have to times by 2 after. But what you could do is to just simplify first the insides of what 6 squared minus 6 becomes minus 12. Okay. So you take away 6, then take away 6. You are taking away 12 altogether. Okay. Now, once you've done that, then you're going to times by 2 then. So let's open the bracket. 2 times x squared becomes 2x squared. And then 2 times minus 12 becomes minus 24x. And then 2 times 36 becomes 72. Okay, and that's done for you. Right, so if you're just mark your answers quickly now. So mark your answers very quickly. Right, so this seems to be, it's really my fault on this. This seems to be like the answers to part 2 in the previous one. So if you just use them then to mark part 2, it's my fault. I think I made a mistake when I was planning this. Sorry about that. Okay. Right, so if you just use this to mark question 2 was basically in the previous video, this one here. So if you just want to mark these ones then. So these questions here, question 2, their answers are basically these ones here. Okay. Okay, hope you are fine with that. Before we finish, just thank you again those who have been contributing to these videos. If you've not been contributing and you want to donate, just asking you to, anything that you want to donate, whether it is £1, £2, or £5, or £10, or anything that you just want to contribute towards these videos. My bank account is over there in the yellow. Yeah, you can do online transfer if you want to my NatWest account, or you can basically just walk into a NatWest account and put in whatever it is that you have, £1, £2 every month, once a week. Is up to you how you want to do it. Once you've done that, I would really appreciate if you can just send me an email so then I can thank you in a special way. Okay, your contribution to this is so good. I want to aim at just keeping these videos free to help students who are doing their 11 plus, to help students who are doing their GCSE or IGCSE. I just want them to be there for anybody who wants to use them. However, because it's very expensive, in terms of the softwares I'm using to do this, it takes a lot of time to do these videos. I would really appreciate if you can, put some donation to help me towards this. Thank you so much.